But let's get into Luka Dončić here, Stephen A. What we've seen from him in the month of March, the tear that he's on, is he a lock right now in your mind for the All-NBA first team?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
You have SGA. I have Jokic. I have Jaylen Brown. I have Cade Cunningham because they have the best record in the Eastern Conference. Yeah. And I have Wemby. Right. They're second in the West. So Luka doesn't make my top first team All-NBA.
Throws it, James back to Doncic. On the drive. Pulls back, three-pointer. Bang!
Gonna get it right back, two-man game. He thought about it for an instant, and he will take it. Got it!
To Jones on him, here's the double. Doncic on the drive, step back, puts it up, puts it in!
So take that all in account. It's no slight towards Luka. He's just not on my first team.
Why are you the way that you are?
Why is it that certain voices in sports media consistently stand out for all the wrong reasons? When evaluating the landscape of NBA coverage in 2026, one name that repeatedly sparks frustration is Kendrick Perkins. His presence is loud, his takes are often questionable, and more importantly, his analysis tends to lean heavily toward narrative building rather than objective evaluation. There's a difference between being bold and being reckless with opinions, and Perkins frequently crosses that line. But the most concerning issue isn't just the noise or the hot takes, it's the lack of consistency and credibility. For someone entrusted with influencing major decisions like MVP and All-NBA voting, integrity isn't optional, it's essential. Without it, the entire process starts to lose its value.
Cade Cunningham has just leapfrogged Luka Dončić for his top 5 players in the NBA in my eyes.
Wow!
So Luka doesn't make my top first team All-NBA. I will have him on my second team. Now, granted, I get it. He's leading the league in scoring, but when I look at the impact that those other guys are having on their, for their franchise, I can't take any of those guys out.
Wrong again.
Now, shifting focus to Luka Dončić in 2026 over the past month, he's been at the center of intense scrutiny. Criticism has been coming from multiple directions, but Perkins' recent comments add fuel to the fire in a way that feels completely disconnected from reality. At this moment, Luka is producing at an elite level, putting up roughly 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists per game, while leading a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. On top of that, he currently holds the scoring title. Historically, that achievement alone carries massive weight when it comes to All-NBA first-team selections. If we look back over the last 3 decades, there have been 12 instances where a scoring champion also played for a top 3 seed. In 11 of those cases, that player secured a first-team spot. Names like Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry, Shaquille O'Neal, Allen Iverson, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Joel Embiid, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander all fit that pattern. What's important here is that many of these players weren't defensive standouts, yet their offensive dominance was so overwhelming that it outweighed any defensive shortcomings. Luka's situation mirrors that perfectly. And if we remove team seeding from the equation entirely, the trend becomes even clearer. In the past 30 years, scoring champions have made first-team All-NBA 25 times. The precedent isn't just strong, it's overwhelming.
And Doncic has been on fire during the month of March. In 9 games, Luka has averaged 34.7 points per game. In his last 6, Doncic has averaged 37.8 points per game, the most by a Lakers player in a 6-game span within a season since Kobe did it.
I rest my case.
To further highlight Luka's case, let's compare him to other standout players this season like Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Brown. Both are having impressive years, no doubt, but they're not operating on Luka's level. Luka ranks first in scoring, third in assists, 22nd in rebounds, second in field goals made, and top 10 in steals. From an offensive standpoint, he's arguably the most impactful player in the league at worst, second. Cade Cunningham's numbers are solid, but there's a clear gap. He ranks outside the top 10 in scoring, significantly lower in rebounds, and doesn't dominate statistically the way Luka does. While Cade is undeniably valuable, placing him above Luka in first-team consideration doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Then there's Jaylen Brown, who's enjoying one of the best seasons of his career. He's top 5 in scoring and contributing well across the board. But again, when you stack the full statistical profile against Luka's production, it's clear who leads the race. If we're being objective, the hierarchy should be simple. Luka at the top, followed by Cade, then Brown.
I have Jaylen Brown. I have Cade Cunningham because they have the best record in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
And I have Wemby.
Right.
They're second in the West. So Luka doesn't make my top first team All-NBA. I will have him on my second team.
Now here's where things get even more contradictory. Perkins often emphasizes team success as a key factor in his evaluations, especially when discussing Luka. But when you actually break down the numbers, that argument falls apart. When Luka is on the court, his team's win percentage surpasses that of players like Nikola Jokic and even Jaylen Brown, both of whom are frequently locked into first-team conversations. So if team success is truly the deciding factor, then Luka's case becomes even stronger. The logic Perkins uses to discredit him ends up reinforcing Luka's argument instead. And when we look back at Perkins' 2025 All-NBA selections, things become even more puzzling. His first team included Cade Cunningham, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, and Jason Tatum. Meanwhile, players like Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, who led teams with significantly better records, were placed on the second team. That inconsistency raises serious questions.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Let's be clear, Giannis absolutely deserved his first-team selection. There's no argument there. But when applying the same logic across the board, things stop making sense. Comparing Donovan Mitchell and Cade Cunningham, their individual production is remarkably similar. However, Mitchell's team had one of the best records in the entire league, while Cade's team lagged behind in wins. If team success is supposedly a priority, then why wasn't Mitchell rewarded accordingly? Why was Cade elevated despite the gap in team performance? This selective application of criteria is exactly what undermines the credibility of the voting process.
No idea.
This brings us to a larger issue: why someone like Kendrick Perkins arguably shouldn't hold a vote in these decisions. First, these awards have real financial implications. Player contracts, bonuses, and long-term value can all be impacted by all NBA selections. That responsibility demands fairness and consistency. Second, Perkins' track record shows a pattern of contradictions. One year, Cade makes first team with a lower win total. The next year, Luka is penalized despite strong team performance. And if you need further proof, look back at 2023. Perkins' ballot didn't include Luka on any All-NBA team not first, second, or third. Meanwhile, 97 out of 100 voters placed Luka somewhere on their ballot. That season, Luka averaged 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists, with multiple 40-point games and even a 60-point performance. Leaving him off entirely wasn't just controversial, it was indefensible.
21 rebounds, 47 minutes played, and now 60 points against 25 losses. Still work to do. A 51-point night and counting for Luka.
So Luka doesn't make my top first team All-NBA.
Conley sinks that one for point number 50.
It's scrambling on D. Hardaway back to Luka. Deep straightaway three. It's good. It is good. Incredible. 50 for Luka.
So Luka doesn't make my top first team All-NBA.
Shut up, man.
So to wrap this up, there's a clear pattern when it comes to Kendrick Perkins' NBA takes and voting decisions. First, many of his evaluations simply don't align with the numbers. Second, he leans heavily into narratives rather than objective analysis. And third, his criteria shift from year to year, creating inconsistencies that are hard to ignore. For an NBA voter, that's a major problem. Consistency, fairness, and accountability should be the foundation of the process. Without those, the credibility of the awards themselves is at risk. At this point, it's fair to question whether his vote should carry the same weight as others in the media, because based on the track record, the gap between informed analysis and biased opinion is becoming increasingly clear. As always, appreciate you watching. Hopefully this breakdown gave you a clearer perspective. Catch you in the next one.